Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the second part of the state of AEW. I had to take a little while to think about this. That's the reason why this is being done on the 31st. I'm actually doing both videos back to back. I'm doing the state of TKO WWE right after this one, and that will be released tomorrow. I think it's kind of fitting that it's going to be released tomorrow because I really wanted some time to really think about what we got with Monday Night Raw, because I did watch it. I watched Raw. I did see the face-off between Punk and Seth Rollins, and I have my thoughts on that, and that will be in the next video that you will be watching. But this video is being released first today, and I want to make this clear. I am not going to do a NXT review today. I will watch it tomorrow, and then I'll release it tomorrow. I'll see if I can do it early in the morning, and I will release it tomorrow. Because later I might be going to visit some friends, so I will not have the time to watch it. I'm waiting to see if they want to see. Want to visit, I have to wait. So, let's get to the business here. I had to think about this for a moment because I'm still thinking about how to structure what I want. Look guys, let's make this clear. The last 2 years, 2024, 2023, and 2022, the last 2 years has not been great for AEW. Now, I know most people say, oh yeah, 2022 is actually pretty damn good. No, it was not. It was obvious the way it had been acting for the last couple of years when we started hearing rumors about how the locker room was acting, how Tony was acting, then how the situation with Punk was happening. We know it's not been 100% stable. It's the truth. There's no lying about this. And I want to make this clear to people who love AEW. I'm not chewing out AEW because I think it's a piece of shit and it deserves to be chewed out. I'm giving, unlike others, let's make this clear. There are other podcasters, wrestling reviewers like myself that say what they're going to say. There's going to be some that are totally for AEW. There's going to be some that are saying that it's a piece of shit now. There's some that are in between. I'm the person that's in between. I'm the person that will see the good and the bad of a company. Look, if you watched my TNA to Impact to GC, Global Force Wrestling, back to Impact, then to TNA, you know I have always given a fair review. I've always said things were good, things were bad, things were crap. But I always did it in respect. Same thing with WWE. And before it became TKO WWE. And now, let's make this with AEW. Look, have we gotten some compelling TV over the last 2 years? Yes. Have we gotten some compelling TV for the last year? It's been a mix. Let's make this clear. What they tried to do in the beginning of the year when it came to CM Punk. Because remember, this is what people don't want to remember. The reason we got the Bucks storyline and the Moxley storyline was only because of one reason. One reason. That was because of what Punk said on a podcast. Talking about how it just... Punk was going to be Punk. He's going to say whatever the hell he wants. It's not the point if it's the right thing to say or if it was the wrong thing to say. Okay? Let's make this clear. Very clear. It's not about the right or the wrong thing what he said. He said it. It was right and wrong. Okay? That's the truth. That's the deal. He didn't need to go that far. He didn't need to. Now, was he right about most of what he said? Of course he was. There is no lying about the problems that AEW has. All Elite has issues. It's been having issues when it came to the women's division. It had issues when it came to the Japanese wrestlers, male or female. It became an issue when it came to how they structured the matches and the storylines. Sometimes they really did get it right. Other times it just fell on his face. And when you look at wrestlers like Lance Archer, like Wardlow, like Powerhouse Hobbs. Now, Hobbs did get a moment where it was beginning to work for him until he got injured. And then he went away and came back and then got injured again. Because I do believe he got injured twice. But when they orientated the show so heavily in one way, it hurt the company. And I'm not talking about when they first started the company in 2019. There's a difference. Look, when they started it, its mandate was to give us tag team wrestling. Now, was it great tag team wrestling? Yes, because we weren't getting it from WWE. And Impact Wrestling was a mess still back in 2019. Whether you want to hear this or not. And I'm not saying Scott D'Amore was a be all and all. He was not the greatest. He wasn't. He was not. He'd only gotten the company less than 2 years before. And by 2019, it began to look at least a little better, but it was still a mess too. Let's make it clear. So AEW was a fresh coat of paint on pro wrestling. Look what Impact Wrestling did. They worked with them. And even though it didn't 100% work, in 2020, going into 2021, let's make it clear. It did not help them a lot, but it did help to at least expose people to them again, because people thought they went out of business. At least some who don't keep up with pro wrestling. So they did do some good things with AEW, but it does not mean it was great. And then AEW did some good things with Impact, but didn't filter back. And that was a major issue they needed, at least until they did. Let's do Wrestleverse. Say, for instance, Wrestleverse, I believe I'm pronouncing correctly. It's been a while since I thought about it. But let's make this clear. When you see what happened with Wrestleverse, no, that's with Impact Wrestling, sorry. We're talking about Forbidden Door, sorry. I tend to forget that Wrestleverse and Forbidden Door are basically the same thing. They are. But let's make this clear. When it was called Wrestleverse, or it was called Forbidden Door, it really helped a lot of people. It did do a great job. But here's the problem. The mandate that we got in 2019 about giving us great pro wrestling went away after 2022. Now, let's make this clear. It was not great booking for stories in AEW. Let's make that clear. Booking for stories did not really exist very well. That's the reason why the Japanese female wrestlers and the Japanese male wrestlers really felt very empty. And you could have done something with storylines that could have combined a little bit of American story and a little bit of Japanese story, and you could have used that. They didn't go there. They just made them stay as Japanese wrestlers that just came into a company that's European or American or Canadian and just made them wrestle. That's what they did. But by 2022, I'm saying this clearly, it was obvious they went away from the formula of doing good tag team wrestling, good regular wrestling, and tried to give us some okayish storytelling. Okayish. You know when it ended? Cody leaving. It began really when Cody left. Whether Cody really just wanted to go back to WWE before it transitioned to a corporation, or he just got sick and tired of being told no by Tony, because Tony wanted it like this, and Cody, the Bucks, and Kenny basically tried to structure it. Well, they tried to do New Japan. They tried to do All Japan. I know you're going to say, no, they know. Let's make this clear. New Japan Pro Wrestling, for what I understand, All Japan Pro Wrestling Noah, DDT, they do all have a similar type of style. Strong style with very long-term booking, which is basically very subdued compared to what European, Mexican, or Canadian and American style of wrestling is, where the storytelling is more important than just the wrestling. Wrestling is important, but they made sure the storytelling was near as strong as the in-ring product. That's the truth. And that's what they had for All Elite Wrestling. But by 2022, let's make this clear, by the time CM Punk had just come in, they transitioned away from that. They tried to be more of a WWE light. And saying this as someone who said Impact Wrestling was WWE light, which it still is, they went beyond Impact Wrestling before it became TNA and became, what would you call it? WWE-esque. About maybe 60% of their product was WWE-esque, where they were not structuring the shows anymore about doing, well, let's make it clear. Matches counted. Wins counted. That's what the premise was in 2019. They completely went away from that. They didn't know how to structure it. That's the truth. They didn't know how to make AEW a little bit of WWE. Just a little. Didn't need to be a lot. Just better storytelling. They could have kept how the product was working when it came to structuring how the matches were supposed to be wins and losses, how it still mattered, and use clause to get out of situations where the matches being wins and losses sometimes reach a point of being stale, and using kind of the proving ground matches and special matches where they do open challenges. They could have sprinkled that in periodically, not almost every week. That's where they went. Tony went more towards what WWE used to be. Maybe trying to make it a little bit like the Attitude Era. Not the, not Attitude Era. Ruthless Aggression. I think that's more better than Attitude. He might have tried the Attitude, but realized I think maybe the Ruthless Aggression era might be better. That's the way it looks, for me personally. So all these years, what have we gotten? We've gotten a product that has very little storytelling. The matches mostly either don't last very long, or they just don't make any sense. Yes, we've been getting the Continental Classic, and I said this so long ago. Why not let Eddie Kingston be the champion of Collision? Let the Continental Classic Championship be defended on there. Let him be important like CM Punk was. No. They made him work constantly. Next to going to the other company, and that was New Japan Pro Wrestling, because he did have their title. Honestly, he needed to be a reputable, real champion on Collision. That could have helped the show. He is one hell of a great talker, and he's a decent wrestler, and people loved Eddie. But before he got hurt, they could have gone there. They didn't do it. They just didn't. And it didn't help the company. Samoa Joe was there. He became very reputable, important, and to a certain extent, you could have thrown him on Collision, but he was the ROH television champion. And they could have given him either the Continental Championship to run with it when Eddie got hurt, or let him have the TNT Championship and be a TNT champion that ran Collision. No. Then you look at Wardlow. He was hot before, and then he died out. Then they reheated him up again and began to work, and then he went away again. And then when Adam Cole got hurt, he came back the first time, tried to make Undisputed Kingdom work with Wardlow, but they started jobbing out Wardlow. And then here's the thing. There was supposed to be a reckoning because of what happened with Wardlow. Losing so much. We never saw Wardlow get kicked out of Undisputed Kingdom. Just gone. So was Adam. Stories with Adam and MJF. Now, mind you, it's understandable. Adam got hurt. He blew out his entire ankle and imploded. He had to get cadaver tendons put into his ankle. He had nothing. So they had to give him a cadaver tendon to be able to repair it, or tendons, I think more than one. And then MJF needed to go away. He'd been hurt. He needed time to recover, and he then made a movie. But the thing was that they needed a new feud. By the time they both came back together at the same time, that old feud didn't work. There was no title. There was no real strength behind the story. And then, if you're going to be honest, they used the Dynamite Diamond Ring made no sense. It wasn't a championship. It was not something that would get you a championship. It was just a ring that was used to knock people out. It was just costume jewelry. They needed more and they didn't get it. And when we saw the match on World's End, it just felt empty. And now we have the Moxley storyline. I know this is going to explain and end this video. My Gump report. Guys, I'd hoped that Shane McMahon would show up. I'd hoped that, and I said it myself, Adam Copeland being the mastermind behind Moxley. That's what I hoped. I hoped that he would come back and be the mastermind behind Moxley and be the rated R superstar that he could be when he was a heel. And inside the briefcase was a rated R AEW championship. And I was kind of hoping they would kind of play along with that. Hopefully not getting in trouble with TKO WWE because that is kind of like copywriting, but maybe not. They could have made the Adam Copeland title not the rated R title because that would be copyright infringement. I'm sure WWE patented that and wouldn't want to go there. I was hoping for that. And I kind of got part of what I wanted. Adam did come back, but he came back as a face. And now he's going after the AEW Championship and going against Moxley and getting a trios match on the first Dynamite of 2025 that is also going to be streamed on Max. I would have rather they built something more than just a trios match. They need story more than they need a match between the Death Riders and FTR and Adam. We didn't get that. We're getting a trios match. Here's the state. Because I just explained everything that's been going on, particularly going back 2 years. Now, I know I'm missing a lot more stuff that was going on, like what happened with the scapegoat Jack Perry and all the other type of controversies that's happening. I'm not adding it all in here because that could be more than 30 minutes long. But it doesn't need to be. You guys mostly already know what's been going on. We know what's been going on with Ricky Starks. We know even more about what's going on with Pentagon Jr. and Ray Phoenix, for that matter. We already know the situation with them. So adding them in large amounts of information wouldn't be anything new. But let's be honest here. What is the state of AEW? They're not going out of business. I made this statement before and I'm saying it again. Now they have the Max deal. I don't know how many years it is. It might be up to 5 years. It's just my speculation. It might be up to 5 years. But in that 5 years of working with Max, if it's 5 or it's 3 or whatever, it's got to be a multi-year deal. Will we get better material for the company? That's going to depend on Tony Khan. There is no more. Understand, we did get a Kenny coming back. We don't know when he'll get back in the ring. But we did get Kenny coming back. He did hand Okada his Continental Championship. We're probably going to see that match between the two. But will we get better storytelling? Will we get better match structure that was better back in 2019? Will we get things that's going to matter? Or are we going to keep getting where the best wrestle? Where is Daniel Bryan? Well, Bryan Danielson. Has he gotten the surgery? Or is he still waiting for it? And is he working in the back, hopefully in creative, to give us something new? Will we get, and understand, I still believe that ROH should not go on any of those small streaming services. Yes, they're going on, Tubal. I believe that, I don't know if they're going to be on Pluto, but I do know they're going to be on Thriller TV, I believe. Is it going to be Thriller TV? I can't remember. But these are small little streaming companies. They're giving them a little bit of money. But it's not like it's something special. And the key here is, it shouldn't exist anymore. ROH should not exist. If it's got to exist, it should be a developmental and it should have been on YouTube. It should replace Dark and Dark Elevation. It shouldn't have been put on Thriller TV. It should never have the way it is. You should have had Athena on the main roster of AEW instead of keeping her where she was. Jade Cargill, who I'm not against, was basically given a title that had no prestige behind it. And now it's hurting like a Mercedes Moné and a Chris Statlander. It needed someone with prestige, someone who had credibility. It could have been Athena. It could have been Ruby Soho. It could have been Taya Valkyrie. It could have been anyone other than Jade Cargill that could have helped the company to feel more important and legitimate, and it doesn't have that now. Tony has hurt the company. He has. Reacting instead of acting. The company is now a reactive promotion, not an acting promotion, trying to do something different. They've now settled into something similar to what WWE used to be in 2014, 15, 16, or 17. Doing whatever they can to make money. It doesn't really matter what. And the storylines don't really mean much. The wrestling doesn't really mean much. As long as they're making the merchandise sales, that's all that matters. And just giving random matches or lengthy or shortened matches that don't really mean much. It feels empty. Now, I want to make this clear because I know people are going to jump down my throat and say, dude, it's a great company. It's still got great wrestling. I'm not saying it doesn't. This is not about the wrestlers who are trying their best. Look, Moxley has tried his best to make this storyline work. It was a mess because who came up with it? Tony and the Bucks, because they reacted to what CM Punk said. First the Bucks with their storyline, which didn't work. Then Moxley, giving everything he can to make that thing work. I'm not saying Mox didn't bust his ass. And everyone in Death Riders didn't bust their ass. The person that I'm upset about, who has not been treated right, was Pac. Because he was only had the job most of the time, not Claudio Castagnoli, not Wheeler Yuta much. Yet he did job, but they were still trying to use him as a bargaining chip between him and either Bryan Danielson, or a little bit, or clearly or you know what I mean, Orange Cassidy and Bryan Danielson. Everyone has been working to do a good job. Now, are people trying to cutthroat each other a little bit? Possibly. We haven't heard any rumors lately, but there's always been cutthroating of people. But I'll tell you this. This show needs work. Do I believe they'll change next year? I don't know. I hope so. I'm still going to review them. I don't know about just Alex or JD. I do believe both of them will still review the company, still review Dynamite, still review Collision, maybe, and do the pay-per-views. I'm going to still do them. I still believe the company could become better. But this is just me. Peace. And watch for the next video. That will be tomorrow. That will be my TKO WWE. Well, the state of TKO WWE. It will be stated like that. Peace.